I never told my daughter about the warehouse. No address, no key, not even a hint it existed, because everything that mattered in my life was inside that place. And I've learned the hard way. The more people know, the faster it disappears. So I kept it quiet. For years. Last night, we were having dinner. Normal. Quiet. Nothing unusual. Then Kyle, my son-in-law, looked at me, smiled, and said something that made my stomach drop. "Hey, Dad. That 2014 Cutter pallet, you still keep it on the left side, right? And that box labeled documents with the red tape. You might want to check for moisture." I put my chopsticks down, slowly, because he didn't just guess. He got everything right. The item, the position, even the red tape I used on a box I never told anyone about. I looked him straight in the eye. "How do you know that?" Kyle shrugged. "Casual. Too casual. Just a guess. I'm in business. Remember? You worry too much." "A guess?" "No. People don't guess the color of tape." In that moment, something inside me didn't explode. It went cold, because there were only two possibilities. Either Kyle had been inside my warehouse without me knowing, or someone inside my system had been feeding him information. And the worst part? He didn't sound unsure. He sounded precise, like he wasn't repeating rumors. He was reciting inventory, and that's when I realized I wasn't dealing with one problem. I was dealing with a hunter, and possibly a leak inside my own walls. My warehouse isn't filled with gold. It's something far more dangerous. It's a fallback plan, built over decades. Equipment, spare parts, old inventory, a few high-value items that look worthless to outsiders. But to the right person, they're money, fast money. But the real value isn't the goods. It's the paper, contracts, insurance files, backup copies of my will, USB drives with data I never trust a cloud with, things you don't keep at home, because home is the easiest place to get into. I never told my daughter, not because I don't trust her, because she's kind, and kind people can be convinced. Family, just helping, just temporary. That's how boundaries disappear. Kyle is different. He speaks well. Always calm. Always reasonable. I just want stability. But every time he says stability, he's really asking about assets. He's asked before, "Do you have other storage units? Where do you keep important documents? If something happens, who manages everything?" I avoided every question. I thought I was careful. I thought I was invisible. But tonight, he didn't ask anymore. He recited. And that's when I understood something. This isn't curiosity anymore. This is access. Because once someone has a list, the next move is always the same. Sell it, borrow against it, or liquidate it fast. Every option depends on one thing: knowing exactly what's inside. So the question is no longer, how does Kyle know? The real question is, who is feeding him? And if there's a leak, then I'm not just protecting a warehouse anymore. I'm hunting someone inside my own system. I didn't confront him. No raised voice. No accusations. I just pushed a little further. To see how deep this went, I leaned back. Kept my tone casual. "Oh yeah? Then you must have seen the safe at the back. The one with the combination lock." Kyle blinked. Just once. But that was enough. He smiled right after. "Too quick. Dad, you're overthinking. I never said I knew everything." Exactly. If he knew nothing, he would have laughed. Loud. Confused. Immediate. "What safe? What are you talking about?" But he didn't. He adjusted. So I shifted again. "What about the third rack on the right? Those A17 labeled parts? Still there?" Kyle swallowed. Subtle, but I saw it. Then he gave me that same safe answer. "Dad, that's your stuff. I just told you to watch out for moisture." He was pulling back, because he'd already stepped too far. And that's when it became clear. This wasn't guessing. This was structured information, not random details, not lucky guesses. A layout, a system. Someone had walked him through it, section by section. And leaks like that don't come from nowhere. They come from access. There are only two kinds of people who could give him that. Someone who can physically enter the warehouse, a manager, security, or someone who watched me close enough to capture what I never shared. But I've never handed out inventory lists. Never. So that leaves one answer. Someone inside the warehouse system has been bought. I looked at Kyle, still smiling, and I made a decision right there. You're not just greedy. You're connected. And people like you don't stop at knowing. You move. I didn't call Kyle out. I called Rick and Dana. I told them everything. Kyle knows exactly what's inside my warehouse. This isn't guessing. I think there's a leak. Rick let out a dry laugh. Leaks like that? They don't come from outside. That's someone on the inside selling information like cigarettes. Dana didn't waste time. Don't confront him, she said. Trap the source. So we did. The plan was simple and cruel. I would create a fake inventory item, something that doesn't exist, but sounds real enough that only someone inside would believe it. A name too specific to guess, too strange to forget. Hydra, 7 crate, green seal. I would say it once, and only in front of one person at the warehouse, manager, or security. If Kyle ever repeated that exact phrase, we'd know exactly where the leak came from. No arguments, no guessing, just proof. I like traps like this. No shouting, no drama, just intelligence. That night, I sent Kyle a message. Simple, casual. I need to recheck inventory at the warehouse. He replied faster than usual. Too fast. Do you need help? I stared at the screen and smiled. He doesn't want to help. He wants access. And people like Kyle don't wait. They listen. They collect. And the moment they smell movement, they act. So now, I wasn't just watching him anymore. I was feeding the system, waiting to see who bites first. The next day, I went to the warehouse, acting normal. Just another routine visit. I brought a few empty boxes, something to make it look real. I found Mark, the manager, the man who had access to everything. I kept my tone casual, almost tired. Hey Mark, I just brought in a new crate. Hydra, 7, green seal. Can you remind security not to touch it? Mark nodded, wrote something down, didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate. Perfect. I didn't say it again. Not to security, not to anyone nearby, not a single extra word. Then I went home and waited. Rick had told me, if there's a leak, it moves fast, because leaks survive on speed. He was right. That same night, Kyle called my daughter, and I heard it. Clear. Precise. Like he'd just read it off a list. Your dad just brought in a Hydra. 7 crate. Green seal. Ask him what he's planning to do with it. I didn't move, didn't speak, because that name didn't exist. I made it up that afternoon, and I only said it to one person. That was enough. The leak wasn't a theory anymore. It had a direction, either Mark or someone Mark spoke to immediately after. And here's the thing most people get wrong. When you find the leak, you don't confront, you don't shout, you document, you wait, and then you catch them in the act. Because once they act on stolen information, they lose every excuse. And I wasn't interested in arguments. I wanted proof no one could run from. Rick stayed on Mark for 48 hours. Didn't need more. People who sell information don't stop. They repeat. They move fast. Because that's how they get paid. On the second day, Rick got what we needed. Mark was in the parking lot, not inside, not at his desk, outside, where there are fewer cameras. He handed his phone to another man, let him scroll, then took back the phone and received a thin envelope. No audio, Didn't matter. Behavior like that doesn't need translation. A few minutes later, Rick texted me, "Your leak isn't just selling to Kyle, he's selling to multiple buyers." I stared at the message, then asked the only thing that mattered. "Is Kyle directly involved?" Rick replied, "There was a call earlier. Mark spoke to a contact saved as K. Could be Kyle. Could be." That was enough. I didn't need a confession. I didn't need excuses. I had structure. I had pattern. And I had something even better. A lie that turned into proof. Dana didn't hesitate. "Lock the warehouse. Change every code, every lock." She paused, then added, "And when you confront Kyle, don't argue. Use Hydra. Sept. Because that's the cleanest kind of evidence. Information. That was never real. But somehow, he knows it anyway. And when someone knows a lie, as if it's truth, they expose themselves." I invited Kyle over. For tea. Not alone. My daughter was there. Right in the room. Because men like Kyle don't like witnesses. They prefer private conversations, where they can twist words, rewrite stories, control the narrative. Not today. Kyle walked in, smiling, like nothing had changed. "Hey, Dad. You wanted to see me?" I nodded, kept my voice calm. "Yeah." Then I asked, simple, direct, "How did you know about the Hydra?" 7 crate. Green seal. Kyle froze just for a second, but it was there. Then he smiled again. Too quick. "Dad." I just guessed. I held his gaze. Didn't blink. "Guess how?" Silence. "How do you guess the name? And the color of the seal?" Kyle shifted, annoyed now. "Why are you asking like that?" "I'm just looking out for the family." I nodded slowly. "For the family." I leaned forward. "Or for my warehouse?" That hit him. His tone changed. Sharp, defensive. "You're holding too much, Dad. You're getting older. What if something happens? Who's going to manage all this?" There it was. Not concern. Control. I didn't argue. Didn't raise my voice. I just gave him one answer. "Not you." Kyle's face dropped. Just a little. But enough. And in that moment, I knew something important. He wasn't going to confess. Not about the leak. Not about Mark. Because as long as he protects the source, he keeps the access. And access is everything to people like him. So I didn't push. I moved to the next step. I reached for the folder and placed it on the table. Because talking was over. Now we deal in proof. I placed 3 things on the table. A screenshot. Kyle's message. Hydra. 7. Green seal. A video. Mark. In the parking lot. Phone exchanged. Envelope received. And a call log. Mark. A contact saved as K. I didn't explain anything. I didn't need to. Kyle looked down, and I saw it. The color draining from his face. My daughter didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared at the table. Like the ground had disappeared under her feet. Kyle was the first to react. Louder than necessary. "Are you spying on me?" I didn't raise my voice. Didn't even lean forward. "I'm watching the man who was watching me." Silence. Then he tried again. Different angle. Same script. "I was just asking. I was worried the warehouse might get robbed." I let out a small laugh. Cold. "What kind of thief asks an insider first?" That hit. My daughter's voice came out next. Shaking. Breaking. "Did you buy information about my dad's assets?" Kyle didn't answer. He couldn't. "Baby, you don't understand." No. He was done. Because Hydra 7 doesn't exist. I made it up. That afternoon. Said it once. To one person. And somehow, Kyle knew it. There's no argument against that. No story to twist. No angle to escape. Because when someone knows a lie, as if it's truth, they've already confessed. And that's the part people don't understand. You don't win by shouting. You win by removing every place they can run. And tonight, Kyle had nowhere left. Kyle slipped. Just for a second. But that's all it takes. You're holding all that for nothing. If you liquidate early, the family wouldn't struggle like this. I looked at him. Didn't react. Just asked, "Is the family struggling, or are you just in a hurry for cash?" Silence. Then it came out. Short. Raw. Real. "I need to move money." There it was. Not family. Not stability. Not concern. Debt. Pressure. Fast cash. That's the real language of men like Kyle. And once you hear it, everything else makes sense. Rick filled in the rest later. Quiet. Clinical. Mark didn't just sell inventory, he said. He sold patterns. When you show up, when you don't, what days the place is empty. I didn't respond, because I already knew what that meant. This was never just about information. Information is step one. Action is step two. And Kyle? He was already standing on that line, because once someone knows what's inside, and when no one's there are only a few moves left. Bring in a buyer, break in during the empty window, or sell it off fast, using the leaked inventory. Different methods, same goal. Turn my life's backup plan into his emergency exit. And that's when it became clear. I didn't stop something small. I stopped it, right before it happened. I didn't wait for Kyle to change. People like him don't change. They adapt. So I acted. Immediately. I changed every lock, every code, disabled every key. I moved the sensitive documents out. Everything that mattered. Gone from that place. I filed a formal report. Information leak. Internal investigation requested. And Mark, either he gets removed, or he never gets near my warehouse again. In one day, I turned that warehouse from a secret into a fortress. No leaks. No access. No second chances. Kyle called, apologizing. I didn't pick up, because apologies after exposure aren't regret. They're strategy. And next time, he'd just be smarter. My daughter stayed with me for a few days. Quiet. Processing. I didn't tell her what to do. Didn't push. Didn't force a decision. I just told her one thing. You can choose anyone to build your life with. I paused, then added, but don't choose someone who sees your father's life as something to mine. She didn't answer, but she understood. And as for me, I didn't lose a single thing in that warehouse. But I almost lost something worse. Control. Just like the playbook says, Kyle changed tactics. You're controlling. He doesn't trust anyone. He's tearing this family apart. He wasn't defending himself anymore. He was rewriting the story, turning me into the problem, so she would turn back to him. But this time, she wasn't blind. She looked at him. Not angry, not emotional, just clear. You bought information about my dad's warehouse. She paused. And you call that caring? Kyle said nothing, because he couldn't. There's no version of care. That needs an insider. No version of family. That comes with an envelope. And in that moment, he lost the only thing he was really fighting for. Not the warehouse. Not the money. Her trust. Dana moved fast. No emotion. Just paperwork. Access restrictions. Evidence logged. Everything documented. And if Kyle tried anything, breaking in, selling, even reaching out, we were ready. Mark? Suspended. Under investigation. Whether he stays or goes doesn't matter to me, because I don't need revenge. I need the leak cut. And now, it was. Kyle lost everything that mattered. The source, the map, the schedule. And when he lost it, he showed his real face. Not calm, not reasonable. Angry, frustrated, desperate. That's how you know. When a dishonest man gets angry, it's not because he was wronged. It's because he lost his advantage. And once that advantage is gone, he's just a man, with nothing left to hide behind. My daughter looked at me, eyes still in shock, still trying to process. Dad, I can't believe he would do this. I nodded, didn't soften it, didn't lie. You weren't wrong to trust him. I paused, then added, but you'd be wrong if you keep trusting him after seeing the truth. She looked down, quiet, and in that moment, I knew something had changed. Not because I said anything powerful, but because she saw it herself. The warehouse is still there, untouched, safe. But that's not what matters. What matters is this: my daughter's future is no longer being quietly eaten away by a man who saw her life as something to control. And sometimes, that's the real win. The twist wasn't that Kyle was greedy. That part was obvious. The real twist? He knew too much, too precise. And precision like that doesn't come from guessing. It comes from someone talking. So when someone in your family knows details you never shared, don't ask, "Is this a coincidence?" Ask, "Who's leaking?" Because the moment information leaves your control, you've already lost something. So what would you do? Confront them immediately and give them time to erase everything? Or stay quiet, set the bait, find the leak, and then cut it off completely? I chose to cut it off because money, you can make it back. But once your privacy is gone, once your safety is compromised, you don't just lose assets, you lose control. And control is the one thing you can't afford to give away.